Welcome to the Robaer Report. My name is Robaer Washington. I'll be your host today. Today, we have one of my good friends, the godfather to my daughter, one of the men who taught me how to be a professional in business while I lived in Mississippi over a few years ago. Allowed me to come into his office and learn the insurance business. I want to welcome the audience, Facebook as well as YouTube. I want you all to give a big shout out to Mr. Sule Alli. Mr. Sule Alli is the owner of Boardtown Insurance Group in Starkville, Mississippi, a business that has been around for 2 decades. 2022 will mark 2 decades that he has had an insurance agency in the town of Starkville, Mississippi. I wanted to do this slight introduction. I've been knowing Mr. Ali for about 10 years now. Right, I think it's right about 10 years. And
Yeah.
right before we came on, he was talking about his a track program that he's about to develop. We'll go into the rest of his story, but I wanted to talk about his track program because he has contacts in the state of Maryland, which that's where I'm located right now, right outside of Washington, D.C. So, Ali, speak to that for a moment.
Well, basically, I just wanted to introduce myself again. Sule Ali from Nigeria. I came to the U.S. as an undergraduate in track and field. Before I came to the U.S., I had the opportunity in my life to have met the U.S. athletes that participated and did and demonstrated at the 1968 Mexico Olympic. Um, Last year, one of this group member, Lee Evans, died in Nigeria, and he chose to be buried in Nigeria. This year, I am on the drive, a campaign to do an international track meet in his honor, memorial track meet in his honor. Great Lee Evans, he was buried in Nigeria.
Okay, wow. Okay. So, Ali, a couple of things. Lee Evans and track, as well as he is interested in developing a program in Nigeria. That's correct. A track program in Nigeria. Is that
Yes,
correct?
well, the meet, it will be a track meet, memorial track meet that will
Okay.
involve Africans in the diaspora competing against Nigerian team.
Okay. Okay.
And we want
Awesome.
to do
Awesome.
we're going to use 2022 to plan and 2023 to launch the event itself. It will be, we're
Okay.
hopefully going to be 2023 and beyond.
Okay. And we're going to keep that topic in mind as we will have you back on the show, Ali, to discuss that specific topic. You actually yourself spent some time in Baltimore. Baltimore is where our founders, where they come from, where the Black USA News was developed with Mr. Donnie. And so, speaking of that, you were in Baltimore for a while. We talked about that years ago, and it's just not coming back to me that you spent time in Baltimore. Speak to that.
Yes, Baltimore in 1980, I had an opportunity to come to Baltimore as a student, selling books door to door.
Okay.
And that was my first time being in American major city. I
Okay.
lived on Preston Street. Anybody that lived in Baltimore will know how tough Preston Street is. Maybe one of the longest streets in Baltimore, but very tough.
Okay.
That was the first time I got exposed to real American life.
Okay. Urban environment. Okay.
Very American. The news cycle there was 24/7. You have helicopters. This is the first time I see police helicopters in the neighborhood. People running for their life, naked. People with knives cutting each other in the streets. I saw it all, and I must tell you that really scared me as a person. And I vowed never living in any city in America again. So that was my experience in Baltimore.
Okay. So the living in the big city forced you to move living in a small metropolitan, well, a small town in the United States.
I was glad to come back to a small town, Starkville, Mississippi, and never ventured out again.
So speaking of Starkville, so your shirt, I just saw the emblem on your shirt. It looks like Mississippi State. Okay, so
yes,
tell us about that. Because I'm from Starkville, born and raised there. So tell us about that. You came to the United States in 1978, 1979, fresh out of adolescence, 18, 19 years old. You leave Nigeria, a continent, one continent, you come to another one, and you're hit with the reality of life in the United States of America at the end of 70s, early 80s. Tell us about that. As a student, tell us about what you experienced.
Yes, it was, I would say it's a shock to know that you could come to America and be totally oblivious as to what you know about America and be faced with reality. And reality to me as a black man, coming to Mississippi, Starkville, Mississippi, my background was that in high school, I went to Baptist High School, which was a religious school. And Baptist High School in Nigeria is affiliated with the World Baptist Organization.
Okay.
So it is very common for Europeans from America to come to revival service and spend a whole week with us and worship with us, do everything with us. Only for me to come to America and find out that they don't even worship with black people in America. And that was a reality for me. And it was so poisoning that I was consulting with another African that had been there before me. And he told me a story that he was one of the first few Africans that came to school in Mississippi.
Okay.
And he also, like I was, went to Baptist school and went to Baptist church in Nigeria. And when he came as a student, on a Sunday, he asked where could he go worship and where is a Baptist church. And he was showed where to go. He arrived at the church, was all white, and nobody sat with him in church.
Wow.
Nobody sat with him in the whole pew. And after service, he was met at the door by 5 gentlemen, which happened to be aldermen of the church. And they questioned him, why did he come to church there that day? And he explained that he's a student and he was only coming to service like he normally would do, and he was a member of Baptist church in Nigeria.
Okay.
And they told him he made a mistake, that there is a second Baptist for his kind, and never to come back to that church again. And he was escorted back to the dormitory, which I think he was living in Soda Hall. He told me that story himself. And this guy was a PhD student.
Wow. So
I say all that to say that when I came and saw all this division, of course, I was on an athletic scholarship.
One more, Molly. I'm going to stop you real quick. Tell us your age at that time. Then continue.
I was 19 years old.
Okay.
I was 19 years old. I was on an athletic scholarship. And my team, I wasn't afraid to say things. And I started questioning. I said, we all on the same team. Why does the white kid sit in the front of this bus and the black sit in the back? And everybody laughed.
And this
in the cafeteria.
This is at the university. This is the university track team that we're speaking of, correct?
Yes, this track team. When we go to track meets, all the white boys on my team sit on the front of the bus, while the blacks all sit in the back. It's just in uniform. It's just everybody knew their position, except me.
Wow.
And even in our cafeteria, we practice together. After practice, that's as far as we go. In the cafeteria where we eat, all the whites sit on one side and one black sit on one side. So, it's like, what is this? But that's the way That's the way it was. And I don't think it is actually changed, because I went back to graduate school and I still see the same division in America. But most especially, what really caught my attention was the fact that religious worship in America was segregated. I cannot.
Oh,
I've lived here over 40 years now. I still can't get over that.
wow. You say you've been in the United States for over 40 years now.
Yes.
And
I
this
still
was in
cannot get over that. And as a matter of fact, the last time I was in Nigeria, I was telling my brothers this, and they can't believe it, that religion in America, churches, major churches such as the Baptist Church, is segregated.
Right. See, Ali, I sat at your feet. I'm gonna use some religious terms right now. I sat at your feet for a long time, for years in your office, and I heard you speak a lot about various topics. It was never a day from 2012 until I left in 2017, 18, and still go back now where I've experienced a moment of boredom dealing with you. And so I hear your story, and we're gonna put a pause in that part, and then we're gonna come back to it because I'm gonna have you back at this show on a future date. All right.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna go back to you mentioned track. You mentioned it in passing, but you came to the United States as a track star, or as a track student from Nigeria to run track.
Yes, I was recruited. I was recruited by several schools, but before I came to America, I came in contact with Coach Ron Davis. Ron Davis is a graduate of San Jose, and he as a black coach, when he was a student athlete, they were the first black athletes collectively to have won an NCAA cross country. Before then, it was known that blacks cannot run cross country, but they were the first. Himself, there were about three blacks that were on the team that won NCAA cross country championship. But he coached me and encouraged me to come to America because of academics. I was very young, and he didn't want me to just stay in the country. He wanted me to explore the possibility. So he started putting my name out there, and I got a lot of offers from different universities. And I think I told Robaer a story that, Robaer said, "Why did you come to Mississippi?" I said, "Well, my first choice was go to UNLV." And I met somebody else and said, "Sule, why you want to go to UNLV? You won't get a chance to study. That place is gambling 24 hours. I said, there's no darkness there. 24 hours of the day, they're gambling there. How are you going to go to school?"
Wow. Wow.
So he said,
Oh, wow.
so I said, I guess I need to go to somewhere that's new. I said, "What?" He said, "What about it?" He said, "Well, Mississippi is backward, but I think you can go to school in Mississippi without all this distraction."
Okay.
I ended up in Mississippi.
You ended up in Mississippi. So
Yes.
you
And while yeah.
Now go ahead, continue.
Anyway,
I have one to discuss.
Anyway, as a young athlete, I made impact, and my first meet was indoor. I never ran indoor before. And it took a while for me to catch up, but immediately I became an impact athlete in SEC. So I was in the top 3 in my first few years. I became All-American. I also became an All SEC champion in track and field. I ran at the Joe Louis. I ran in Detroit in NCAA indoor. I still have a school record. I still have a school record in the 1,000-yard indoor at Mississippi State. My record stands still there today because they moved from yards to meters. So all the records of the yards still on the book.
So they'll never go away.
Yeah, that's right.
You're a very popular guy, man. You're getting a lot of views right now. I don't know him from Facebook or YouTube, but you're getting a lot of views on the show. I'm going to say this. You not only you as an athlete, you had a chance to be around other athletes. Mississippi
Yes.
State has been known for producing top quality football players, basketball players, as well as baseball players who go pro. They have other sports as well. Those athletes do very well in academics. A lot of them you don't hear about going pro or becoming all Americans. Speak to some of those people that you went to school with that were stellar athletes, maybe in the classroom, but especially on the field. Mr. Ali?
Yeah. When I was there, I was, football, American football was new to me. So it took me a while to really understand the game itself. However, all the athletes that you hear on the radio, on TV, were all people that I was in the same dormitory with. We had in the same cafeteria, people like Tyrone Keys, who played with Chicago Bears, Johnny Cooks, which initially was drafted by Baltimore before they moved to Indianapolis. We're talking about
Go ahead.
and
Go ahead.
yeah, and, I was with people like Glenn Young, that was with Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver. Rafael Palmeiro, which is also a great baseball player, was on the same team, when I was there.
Wow. Okay.
So a host of a lot of big big time pro that came through in the 80s. They were all we were all in the cafeteria together eating. When they get drafted, they come back and in fact today, we're still friends because when I go to Mississippi State games, they all come to the games. And Tyrone Keys was at my house maybe about 3 months ago. He lives in Tampa. Tyrone Keys lives in Tampa. He has a good youth program. Yeah, Johnny Cook. I see Johnny Cook all the time. As you know, when you were there, Johnny Cook asked me to make an African shirt for him.
That's
which,
right.
I went to Nigeria, got him a dashiki with his Sigma Phi on it.
That's right.
So, it's like I believe that I've lived a good life and had a chance to interact with people. My only drawback, as I said earlier, was just the shock of knowing that there's this big divide in America, which I think it still is. It's really the only thing that is holding America back is just this divide that's not being accepted as an African American. I mean, today I had to create my own business. I think I was telling Robaer, I had to create my own business because I know I will not, no matter how smart I am, I would not have functioned in the real structure. Because of who I am as a Black person. I would not be given the right recognition, and that could be very depressing if you have a qualification and you're not recognized amongst your peers. I could see that, and even in business, I'm lucky to have created something for myself because of the need based on laws that were passed in Mississippi. So I'm able to
speak to that. Speak to that law because you taught me how to benefit from that law, even though I didn't even know it existed. Speak to that because that's a core part of the way that you produce income and the core part of your business that you have in Mississippi. Speak to that. What is that? What is that law that you're referring to? Because people need to know.
The law. Yeah. The law before 2002, when I opened my business, I had been in other side of the insurance business, which is personal insurance, like life insurance, health insurance, pension. I was trained by Mass Mutual Life Insurance Company. I felt like I think I am a good salesperson. However, my market was very small. And not only is my market small, the income level of my market would not allow me to make the type of income that is due me as a sales rep
Okay.
or as an insurance agent. So all of the white agents within the company who sell maybe about 10 policies and make about $100,000 a year. I, on the other hand, could sell 50 policies. I'll make less than $30,000 a year because of my clientele. And there's no way I could break into the other market because of the color of my skin.
And
so you see, it's a barrier.
I bring this up because, and I want you to continue. I bring this up because I myself am licensed property casualty, and you influenced me to go towards that side of the business. But you hear a lot of people now who tout life, health, and accident. We're speaking insurance language right now. A lot of people won't understand it, but for those who do understand what I'm saying, you'll get this. Because of the color of our skin, because of our cultural backgrounds, the clientele that is available to us may not be available to pay those top premiums.
That's right. Yeah, you have to have good source of income for you to buy a policy for investment purpose or buy a policy that you can sustain.
Right.
A lot of times they want the policies, but they just cannot afford to pay for it.
That's right.
Because of their income and inconsistency about their job status. So for many years, while I was in that part of the business, my income was very small. I went back to college, came back, and Lord and behold, in Mississippi, they now passed a law that makes it mandatory for you to operate a vehicle.
Right.
You cannot operate a vehicle without an insurance policy.
That's right.
And that even the playing field for me at that point. That means everybody becomes my client. And even so, the population of African Americans will have a place to go.
That's right.
And that was, and I've done well since then.
And so as a young agent in Mr. Ali's office, what I experienced, I find that there's a necessity for Black agents, specifically in the property casualty side in small towns, because the clients, which are automobile owners or anybody who has a driver license, it's hard for them to go into
the State Farm and other places.
Speak to that.
Good rate.
That's important. That's important.
So,
that's important, Ali.
Yes. So when I first got my license, I was going to be employed by Allstate. And if you work for any of the majors, you become an employee or captive agent.
That's right.
However, within that structure, you have two-tier rates. If your credits are good, you get a lower rate. Mm-hmm. You got a bad credit, you got a higher rate. So when the Black people come into a State Farm or Allstate office, because their credit will not be good, they're hit with a higher rate to come into any of those companies. But the insured, they don't know that.
Yeah, right.
They don't know that. So I, on the other hand, I haven't looked at the system. I said, okay, are there other companies that caters to clients like that?
Okay.
Well, in order for you to get in that non-standard, which is called non-standard companies, you have to become an independent agent.
Okay.
And within that structure, you get a right as an independent contractor to interview with any company, standard or non-standard, to sell for.
That's right.
And that means you have a better chance of serving your community.
That's right.
Which is what I did.
Wow.
So anybody can come into my office, whether they have DUI, whatever their driver's record, I'm able to give them a good rate.
That's right. That's right. That's one thing that I did learn about being in your office, that we rarely had to turn someone away. If we had to turn someone away, there's a policy for them and it's on the state level. But I don't believe we ever had to turn anybody away because as a new agent who had an insurance license, which is very powerful, by the way. When you get at the point where you can obtain your property casualty license, it's not an easy process. I took my test twice. Mr. Ali was very fortunate. He studied, he needed it, and he took his one time, and he got it. But most people, I met a young lady who, when I was studying and taking my test, 8 times, and she wanted it so bad because she knew the income potential of it, and she took it 8 times. I never met her again. So I was like, well, maybe she didn't pay attention in one of the classes she was in. But more than one, because once you get your license, it makes you flexible to move in the country. 50, well, how many states? It's 50 states, including Guam, including Puerto Rico, and also Puerto Rico. You can move across the United States with your insurance license, and I guarantee you'll have a job somewhere. Just a guarantee. By working for one of the smaller agencies or for working for one of the larger companies.
That's right.
You know, Mr. Ali impressed that upon me about the importance of having that license. And so, so like I said, Mr. Ali, you such a wealth of knowledge. Go back to the track, right? To your track upbringing. What are some of the things that you learned? Because track is a solitary sport for the most part. What are some of the areas that helped you in business that you carried over from your track days? If you can speak to that.
Yeah. Even I would say that track and field as an individual sport, just like I guess would be golf, swimming, it allows you to plan for yourself. If you want to win, it means you got to work hard, and it's on you.
Okay.
Success or failure lies on your ability. Whereas other sports like basketball, soccer, football is a team sport. And because you are used to that solitary grind of self-motivation and all that, that same is applicable in business. And I could see the reason why, just judging from that, golf is encouraged among businesses because that's a sport that is, elite sport, right? It doesn't take a lot of physicality to get that, right? But it still takes that mental work to prepare yourself if you want to win.
Okay.
So track and field, and the same with our business. If you want to win in business, you cannot judge, say, "Oh man, it's not doing well today." So you want to like be confident that what you are doing, just like you're confident in track and field, that when you step on that line, you're going to win this race. The same way, in business, you say, "Okay, I'm here now. I'm gonna grind it out and tough it out," and you discipline. Cut down your costs. You just know that you look at your bottom line and you want to survive. And I think track and field prepares me for that.
Okay. All right, Ali, man, you got you a compliment. One of the viewers said he got that smooth voice for Allstate.
Huh? So what now?
A compliment. It says he got that smooth voice for Allstate.
He got a smooth voice from Allstate.
Smooth voice for Allstate. What it really means you got this smooth voice for being in. So you got smooth voice.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, so I just Sule Alli, Boardtown Insurance Agency, Starkville, Mississippi. Man, Ali, man, it's been a pleasure. I said I wasn't going to try to keep you here past 3 minutes because we're going to have you back. I'm going to talk to some other hosts to have you on the show. Just to, because you have other projects you want to work on. That you're working on. You have a housing project that you're exploring possibilities from your home country, Nigeria. I thought one of our other hosts would come on today, but we'll get to that another time.
Okay.
Any last messages that you want to leave with the audience? Because you have any last few messages you want to leave for the audience before we close out for today?
The only thing I would like to say to the audience and anybody that's listening is that I think Haven't met you, Robert. You are one of the few people I met in Starkville as a young man that I think is international by mind and by the way you carry yourself. And being in this atmosphere, I think you're going to be successful. I just do believe that. I just, this this type of setting is for you. I just want to
Mr.
say
Ali,
that,
man,
I am so happy to have met you as a person. Even though you grew up in Starkville, I never saw you as a young man. I saw you when you became a grown man, and you're going to be great.
Ali, man, I really thank you so much. I'm going to have you back on my show within the next couple of weeks because there's so many topics that we need to delve into. One thing I will tell you about Mr. Ali before we leave is that Mr. Ali, no matter where he goes, he's going to have a book. So it's wealth of knowledge. We're going to jump into some
Yeah,
of the books
I'm a
he's
reader.
read.
I read a lot.
We were never in the office a day. We used to sit in the office for 8 hours a day, wouldn't speak. Not because of antisocial anything, because he's reading the book, I'm reading the book. We may talk about the topic a little bit, handle the customer, get back to the knowledge. And that's what it was about for that time period where I worked with him. So, Mr. Ali, I thank you so much for your time. Thank you for gracing Facebook, YouTube, blackusa.news. Once again, thank you, Donnie Glover, for opening up this possibility. And today is December 31st. Not sorry. I didn't date it myself. I didn't push us into the future. January 31st. Tomorrow begins Black History Month. On this platform for Black History Month, I want to focus on mental health. In the Black community, in the white community across America, I'm going to have some mental health professionals on, maybe bringing on some more people by way of dealing with various topics. But thank you all for your time. Thank you for tuning in. Mr. Ali, thank you for your time. And have a good day, you all. Welcome to the Robaer Report. Take care.
All right, thanks. All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, we got one comment. We got one more comment. Let's see. Amen. We agree. Thank you so much, chap. Take care.